welcome to the Make a Living podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Would you mind just starting off by introducing yourself, like how old you are, where you live, and what you currently do for work?
I'm Gianni, and I am 33 years old. I'm currently a chef. I'll get to that, but I'm a private chef. But I also do now. I'm in charge of a church space kitchen where people come and just kind of rent it out for there and things like that. I am in charge of like helping people kind of get their business up and going and just run them through the process of, you know, going through the health department or going through agricultural and markets and things like that.
And where do you live? You live in upstate New York or Albany area?
Yeah, Albany area.
And where are you from?
I'm originally from Dominican Republic, and
Awesome.
yeah, I moved when I was 19 years old. Technically, I was born here, but I was not raised here, so I don't tell people that I'm from here because I was 19. Like I was already accustomed to a different culture. Like moving here was like different for me. Like it's not home. It wasn't home. It is now. But
Right. I didn't realize that. So you were born in New York and then you went to the Dominican Republic?
yes,
Okay. And yeah, culturally, obviously most of your formative years were in the Dominican Republic. When did your love of cooking begin?
didn't really start until I always enjoyed cooking. I didn't think of it as a career. It was something that I did once in a while. Once I found myself in like a commercial kitchen. I was like 25 years old, and I realized how little I knew about cooking. That's when like I just became obsessed with learning more about it. Like since then, I didn't go to school. I didn't really took any programs or anything like that. It's just my obsession was just learning more and more and more. Just kind of maybe go through the ranks and like allow me to become a executive chef eventually.
Once you moved here at 19, I believe you moved to Brooklyn or to New York City.
Yeah, Brooklyn.
Did you have a job at that point, or where did you first like find yourself in the workplace?
My first job was actually McDonald's. And even at that point, like I didn't think that was something I was going to do, like being in a restaurant and like being in that kind of environment. Even though I did enjoy like the fast pace of it, it was just something that was a job I had.
Yep, totally. Does anyone in your family work in the food space, or do they enjoy cooking as well? Like, was that a part of your upbringing?
No, well, my mom always cooks. The Hispanic community. There's a lot of things we do around food. Wasn't anything new to me. It's just learning this new whole world that I had no idea about. When I first started, I didn't know what paprika was, and like that's something that I eventually learned that I knew what it was. And just I knew it in Spanish, but just like that moment to me, like whoa, there's like a lot that I need to learn. Just kind of went from there.
Yeah, so it sounds like you similarly, I can relate to this, are a naturally curious person. Like I've noticed at points in my life that I go down like extreme rabbit holes with something, and like the process of going down a rabbit hole is actually what I enjoy sometimes
Mhm.
more than the actual thing itself. What were you reading books? Like how did you
Yeah. So
expand your knowledge base?
yeah. So just like that, I started reading books. Started asking the chef that I work with, like, hey, do you have a book you recommend? Like, if there's something you learned from a specific book, like and some of them gave you recommendations. Some of them were like, you just learn by doing, and I kind of grabbed onto that line. But I got this first book called The Making of a Cook, and that was just kind of became my Bible. Like it has all the basic techniques, all the French kind of techniques applied to American cuisine. And like I just kind of that was my rabbit hole at the moment. And then from there, I keep buying books. Like I can't stop buying books.
And were you practicing at home?
Yeah, so yeah, I was spending basically all my money just buying new ingredients and trying these things and staying up to like 4 in the morning, like trying to do something. Because when you first starting, you're gonna mess up a lot, and there's a lot of things that not gonna come out right. So I just kept going and going until I got it right, and then I'm like, okay, I can go to sleep now. And so it always took me to like 3, 4 in the morning every day.
Cool. And this is still, I take it like mid late 20s time frame.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Were you honing in on a certain type of cuisine, or were you exploring like all different types?
I was exploring everything. There was a point in time when I became obsessed with sushi, and I just
Oh,
kind of focused on that for a while. I think I'm pretty good at it now. I wouldn't tell you that because that's another thing about what I'm learning is like I don't care more for tradition and things done a specific way. Like I want to learn the technique and then I want to apply it the way I want to apply it. So I don't know all like Japanese sushi, dishes. Like I don't know them all. as they should be. I learned the technique of making sushi, and I just put whatever I want in it.
Mm, that's really cool. So I always joke, I don't I don't know how to say this. I don't appreciate food the way that I wish I did. I'm not like savoring like, wow, I can really taste this spice. I can really taste, this. I want to focus on being more mindful with food. Where do you find the most joy in the cooking? Is it the end result of this really tastes good? I love food. Is it using your hands in the kitchen? Is it like all of the above? Like where do you find the most happiness?
It's definitely only the above. Um,
Okay.
I love like I said, like when I want to learn something new, I love like kind of digging into it and like learning about it, reading about it, and then start applying it, and then seeing the results come out the way I expected it or that it should be. That's very exciting for me. Working in restaurants, like you get accustomed to like the rush and like the stress of it, basically.
Mm,
That's something that rarely enough we all like, and like it's something that we look forward to, even though
mhm,
in restaurants, you prepare and like, you get ready for things, but like it's still very unpredictable as to what's going to happen today. Like what's the order of the dishes that are going to come out? Because every dish is different. It requires different steps, and like some of them don't work if you have them back to back.
I had a guest on a couple weeks back that started as a baker, but I was asking him, where do you start in restaurants? Because of course, like many of us have seen like The Bear. Have you seen The Bear? That show?
I
Like,
I watched some of it. I watched the first season, a little bit of the second one. Maybe I'll watch it now that I'm not in a restaurant because it's just like I live the stress, so I don't want to watch it too. But maybe
yes.
now if I miss it, maybe I'll watch The Bear.
Yeah, that exactly. But I love watching shows about restaurants and anything from like fine dining to,
Hmm.
I guess The Bear. And yeah, so where do you start in as someone that wants to learn the ropes of cooking in a restaurant job? Like what are your tasks?
A culinary school is definitely a good option. With all honesty, if I knew from the very beginning when I was younger that I wanted to be a chef, I would go that route. If that's not something you want to do, just apply for a kitchen. There's definitely a lot of chefs who would rather have someone with no knowledge and just the will to learn than someone who
Mm,
already has all this knowledge and wants to kind of impose their point of views, has his like strong opinions about how should things should be done. Because every chef is different. Every chef has their own experience, like on how they got to that point or how they learned these things. So they always appreciate someone who doesn't have the experience, doesn't not they have the knowledge, but does wants to learn. So I would
mhm.
say just apply for a kitchen and just make sure you tell them you want to learn because chef are looking.
Yep. And what advice would you give to someone that's just starting out into that exact type of setting? And also tips, like be ready to be on your feet all day, or like what are some of the things you would
Absolutely.
tell that young person? Yeah.
Yeah, be ready to be on your feet for sure. It's fun, you have sessions with it. Like there's a lot to do, there's a lot to learn. Just make sure that you're present and absorbing as much as you can. And don't stay in one kitchen. Move on. Move on from different like if you learn something, you learn off a kitchen, you were there for 2 years, like
Mm,
go somewhere else. Everything you learn in this kitchen might not even apply to the next one, and it'll help you kind of build that kitchen common sense.
mhm.
Like I said, every chef has their way of doing things, and by working with through and with different chefs is how you're going to develop your own way of your own identity as a chef.
Do you think that the type of like stress environment varies between a fine dining kitchen versus I don't know what the opposite end would be, like a fast casual restaurant?
Fast casual, yes.
Like, because I can imagine they both have challenges, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Mhm.
Perhaps
Mhm.
it's in a fine dining setting, and these are all going off of, like, YouTube videos I've watched and, like, shows, but it seems like everyone has a very defined role, and it's very, very intense, of course, but maybe more defined, whereas what I've seen in other media is it's maybe more like all hands on deck. Have you had experience in both, or have you kinda leaned more one or the other?
As far as fine dining per se, I haven't had really restaurant experience. The only fine dining I've done is like just me kind of doing private dinners and like kind of giving that aspect of my service. But as far as the difference between that and a fast casual, doing like a short order, which is like something like the bird shock or something like that, the stress level is pretty much the same. Because like I said, there's that unpredictable nature of it that even as much as you prepare, you don't know what's going to happen. It's like Murphy's law. You prepare for the worst, expect the best. But yeah, like a fine dining, you're gonna be working very, very long hours. It's, 12 to 15 hours a day. You might be doing the same thing for the whole 15-hour shift. Like you have to be cutting this vegetable to this specific measurement, and you have to just do it over and over again. For like a fast casual, there's a lot more to do. For one person has to like take care of many different prep items, and during service you have many dishes to prepare. Where to a fine dining restaurant, you might not have as many dishes, but they're much more involved than a fast
Mm,
casual. There's so many more steps that you need to do to get to the finished product. And fast casual that kind of prepares a little more at the beginning, and then the execution is a little faster. And then something like a short order like a burger shack is just the volume of it. You're not preparing as much, but you're cranking out a lot of food by the minute. So those are the differences, I think. But still, like the level of stress and like the unpredictable nature of it is the same.
yep. Okay, so then I know that you moved from New York to Boston. I want to get to I know what you've done in the more recent years
hmm
with your own business and now being a private chef. But yeah, what was your role while living in the Boston area?
So I was working for a company, it's a big like hospitality company, and I was able to transfer from the company to a different account in Massachusetts. That's something that kind of shifted my view about my career a little bit because I came from an environment where like the chef was he was very encouraging. He liked to kind of encourage me to like, hey, listen, because that was my first invention. That was my first commercial kitchen with this company, and I was lucky enough that the chef kind of saw that, wanted me to like learn, and he like kept encouraging that by kind of coming up with this like fun dishes so that I can learn a specific technique. So he'll
Mm,
give me like, hey, tonight go learn about this and that, and then tomorrow we'll talk about it. So I was able to kind of go through a little crash course, I guess, with him
yeah.
and learn different techniques, learn different terms, and he was giving me a way to like practice those techniques. Then from there, I went to this kitchen where now everything is like very, how would I say that? There was no fun to cooking anymore. Where I was, we were kind of like being creative. Every week we would do something new, and the chef would just be like, "Hey, this is the recipe, but make it delicious. Like, do what you want to do with it." Here, we were
Mm,
doing this like specific, like nutritionist value menus where like we had to follow these recipes, and it was a little um hard because these recipes are built for like someone who's cooking for 40 people. But I'm cooking for 100, and like the way that it's supposed to be executed, we kind of have to like use our judgment as chef. Like, okay, I cannot do this way because it's gonna take me too much time, and like I need to make this adjustment. But we're not able to do that because at that point the nutritional value change, which makes sense where they were coming from. It's just not understanding the point of view of like we need to do this at a bigger volume than what this recipe is telling me. And not just that kind of structure that they gave me, kind of just I didn't love it, and it didn't allow much room for me to be a chef. It was just kind of measuring this, putting it together, and that's it. And
yep.
at that point, I was like, maybe this is not what I want to do. And like, I was honestly ready to like move on to a different career. And COVID happened. I got hired as a carpenter's assistant. And literally the week that I was supposed to start, the shutdown happened. So I never started this job. I still quit the other job anyways because COVID and the uncertainty of it. Like I want to be around too many people, so I just didn't have a job for a little bit. And I think that was a blessing for me because it made me realize how much I love cooking.
Mm,
And even during the lockdown, I was still doing the same thing. I was buying, I was still learning. Like that was like the constant thing that I was always doing. And I'm like, okay, this is what I need to do, and this is what I need to focus on. Um, then I eventually got a job at the Farmer's Daughter, like a brunch restaurant. I was able to be part of that opening team, and again, I saw why I fell in love with this field. Like I loved the stress of it. I loved the creativity of it. I was learning so much because this chef was very creative. He also kind of, even though we had a menu, obviously when you have a menu, you have to be consistent. But there's things around that you can like, hey, it's up to you how you want to do that.
mm,
And he had that kind of mentality that kind of just revived that. love that I have for food. Do you want me to continue just kind of run you through how I got to?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Well, first of all, thank you. And I want to say, like, I just love hearing you say, like, you were reminded you love it, like, you consistently keep loving it. Like, it really is a blessing. And I know, you've had a few different jobs to get to where you are today, but still, like, having that through line of, like, knowing that that there's something you love, it takes a lot of people a long time to find that thing. I think I found that mine is podcasting, which is, I don't know, if that's going to be a long-term thing, but at least right now it's something that I love. For so many years, I'm like, what do I love? Like, I can't figure it out. I think a lot of young people can't. So yeah, maybe if you want to transition to, what was the name of your company called that you started in Troy? Yes.
Patagonia. So I mean, in between that, I was just working at the cannabis ice cream company, which was also fun, and I loved working at the farmer's daughter. But when Dave told me about uh, Clark Creamery, my mind itself went straight to, oh, there's a lot for me to learn there. Just because it was a startup company, I'm going to be working side by side with the CEO. Like there's a lot of value to being part of a small company and being, part of that, small core of people that run the company. So I get to see the entire process of coming up with the product to putting out in the market. And that's the only reason I moved on from the farmer's daughter. That was the place
Got
that
it.
I would have stayed for years if I could have. I
Yep.
could have. Other opportunities came and I took it.
At any point now, so now you're like late 20s or late 20s time frame, I think. Did you consider going back to get any sort of certificate or degree at any point, or were you just like, I think at this point I don't really need to?
That's something that I still think about,
Okay.
but it's hard for me to buy going back to school and pay all this money for a degree when I already worked as an executive chef. So like, what
Right.
will be the point of me going through this whole process when I already have the experience that will get me, jobs in the industry and as a sous chef, executive chef, or chef de cuisine. Still think I might still consider it at some point. It's just the expense of it. I don't think I can justify it. We moved back to upstate New York, which is where my wife Alex is from, and we got this opportunity to open a small business inside of like a food court, and we opened this business called Patagonia. And it was something that was born out of, one night I have this friend who loves to do videos, and he came over and he's like, cook something so I can record you. And I was just trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to cook? And then I thought about, okay, let's make a patacon sandwich, which is a sandwich with plantains instead of bread.
Mm,
And so I'm trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to put inside? I remember that I had this like Korean pepper paste at home. I was like, okay, I'll bake that and I will kind of make it a fusion thing. We did that, made the video, tasted it, and we're like, whoa, this is so good. Like we should try to do something with this. And I try to do pop-ups at some point in Massachusetts. Just it was so expensive because just getting a commercial, being signed up in a commercial kitchen. Which I'll kind of backtrack to this when we talk about what I do now. But it's so expensive for anyone to rent out a kitchen so they can get a permit and do pop-ups and things like that, just to be a mobile kitchen, I guess.
hmm.
But when I saw how expensive it was, not happening, then this opportunity kind of came up, and I'm like, well, that's perfect spot for Patagonias. We're there for over a year. People really love the product. We were able to build a regular customer base. The only issue was, which was something that I learned, location was terrible. That's something now that I'm like, I know for a fact. I don't care what the business is. It has nothing to do with the product. It has everything to do with the
Yeah.
location and how you market your product. Like that, yes, it's good. It's important to have a good product. It's important to have a consistent product, but as that has very little to do with the success of it if you're not in the right location.
The right demographic people coming.
You're having access to a lot of traffic. That's
I work in real estate, and so I specifically work in, like, the apartments world, but there's many times where our apartment buildings have, like, ground floor retail, and it is, night and day, just at, like, a different corner of a street and, one block behind or ground like, subterranean space, obviously, that's not ideal for anyone, but, like, even the shape of a space, the smallest things can make a huge difference. Restaurants that totally have great products sometimes don't make it for just that reason.
you know
you just said, you find this cuisine you want to serve. Yes, you have the cooking handle, but what was it like starting a business? Like, did you have to like order like I don't know. I know you had merch too. Like,
Mhm.
how was that process? And you must have learned a ton during that.
Absolutely, yeah. It was so we were able to get kind of some funding, you could say, from like our family members to like get all the equipment, which was like the most expensive part of it. But luckily, the space did made it easy for us to like open a business because you don't have to do the hood, which is like very expensive to do the hood system for a restaurant. We already had kind of the space built out. What we had to do was bring in the equipment and just kind of plug and play. But it was honestly rather simple. I figured out what kind of equipment I needed, kind of budget for that, and bought the equipment, and then just kind of set up my LLC, got all the insurance we needed, kind of designed some of the merch that we sold, and we already had the menu, and everything else was kind of taken care of by the building.
Did you hire employees or was it just you and Alexa?
It was just me and Alexa. There was instances when I would hire someone to kind of cover one day. Um, it wasn't that was like one of the big things. Like this place had no foot traffic at all, none, and it was impossible for us to like hire someone because if we were able to hire someone to like kind of take care of the day to day, or at least kind of come in, I'll set up, they'll come in and kind of take care of um orders. We were able to kind of stand out and like do more pop-ups and things like that. And like if that was an option, we will still be doing that right now.
I would love actually, you tell me, would it ever be a dream of yours to have a product like that, what you were making there? Say, what is it again? A Panacon?
Patacon, so plantain
What's that
sandwiches.
called? Plantain sandwiches in a grocery store? Like, could you package them and put them in a grocery store, or does that not work?
I thought about it. I don't think the whole sandwich can be packaged to be like reheated or anything like that. There is the possibility where like I can make the baked plantains for you to make a sandwich at home, and like that can be
Mm.
frozen and just kind of cook it at home. But yes, that's actually something I thought about and still kind of back burner, but not at the moment. I'm kind of taking a um hiatus from being an entrepreneur. I still do it, the private dinners and all that. We just had our son, and like I just gonna be at
Yeah,
home and like focus more on things that I need to do here.
I love plantains for what it's worth. When did you decide to kind of wrap it up and move on to what you're doing now?
So what we were doing, so our lease was coming up at this place we were at, and we at this point had done a couple of pop-ups, and we're like, we're making way more money doing pop-ups than we're here. It just didn't make sense, so we just didn't re-sign our lease and just kind of focused on pop-ups. In the meantime, then kind of the slow season was coming, and we're like, okay, maybe I'll pick up a part-time job. So when I reached out to the owner of this restaurant, who I kind of met through the market, he was like, "Well, we actually need an executive chef. So if you're interested, I can set you up with an interview with the GM."
Oh,
And we just kind of like talked about it. And we're like, you know what, makes sense. But even if we do it for a couple of years, we still can get back to where we left off. And so I took the job, and I was there for a year. And we had our son, and that's something that I'm grateful for the opportunity to like be an executive chef at this restaurant because it kind of just made me realize that maybe I don't want a restaurant. I still want to be in the industry. I still want to be a chef to some capacity, but it kind of just made me like kind of take a step back and rethink exactly what I want to do because when you're a chef, you're working 80 hours a week,
oh,
period. So, and that means to sacrifice his time with them. And I honestly don't think that's a good trade. Personally, some
mm,
people, you love it to a point that doesn't matter to you. And that's what you're gonna do. To me, it just didn't seem worth it. And just kind of when I got this job now, which it is, I'm working for a nonprofit company, which is called Capital Roots, and they have this like commercial chair space kitchen where people are able to kind of sign up with a membership and rent out the space so they can do pop-ups, kind of like what we were doing, or they
mm,
can create their own products. Like we have people who make bao buns, soups, what else? So people that do like pickles and things like that. So like any packaged products that you're able to do out of this kitchen. And my job
mm.
is to kind of take people's information when they're interested, kind of get them in, show them the kitchen, and they run them through the process like becoming a member in this kitchen. And what I love about this kitchen, where I'm at now is I'm still having to be kind of an entrepreneur because I have to
Mm,
like teach people or give people advice on what they should do with their business, help them with pop-ups, help them get all the documents they need to be able to run their business. But I also love how inexpensive it is. When I was, back when I was trying to do pop-ups, you had to commit to 6 months at $500 a month. You just have to pay like an initial membership, which was another $500. So like that became very inaccessible because we only have one pop-up lineup. So
right.
it didn't make sense for me to pay this money. But here, the membership is like $100 for the whole year, and then you kind of just pay as you go. So
Mm.
to me, that's like incredible. And like anyone who sits down and like tracks all the expenses that you will need to make in order to run a full business, this is a great opportunity. So I'm excited to be part of that. And like since it's a nonprofit company, they're focused on giving that opportunity for people. So it's fun
Well,
to be part
what
of it.
this is making inspiring me to do is really to eat local. Like people say shop local and all that, but it's
Hmm.
like it's a reminder that if you're gonna put your dollars somewhere, and if you don't have a preference, it's like choose the local person who is, or small business, I should say too,
Yeah.
not just local, but who's trying to make a living.
Yeah. And
So
I would add
better.
to that, like try to find places. If you go into a restaurant, try to find a restaurant where the owner chef is actually running the kitchen
Mm,
because you're supporting um the guy who's like putting in all the work. I suppose to know the restaurant who like the owners are not even involved with the day to day, and they're kind of dictating how the money is spent. And at the end of the day, the guy who's killing himself running this kitchen is not really getting all the benefits of all the money that restaurant's bringing in. So
yeah.
look for restaurants where the chef is actually the owner and he's actually there cooking for you.
And they can also, I'm sure those chefs can look out and see people enjoying their food, and that must be an amazing feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so this nonprofit that you're working with, is this separate from the private chef work you're doing, or is it kind of connected?
No, it's separate. I have like set up my website where I take inquiries through there and like I do private dinners through there. And because this job is like Monday to Friday, it allows me to, be free on the weekends so I can book a couple weekends a month so I can still cook for people.
Oh, really cool. What has that been like? The Had you done any similar type work prior, hosting a, well, I don't know what it is, 5, 8 person dinner for people?
Yeah, so when I was in Massachusetts, I got to do couple private dinners there and also through friend of mine, Dave, we put together this event was with like Caribbean food, private event where like everything was infused. Me and another chef kind of put together all the dishes. And yeah, that was like kind of my first time like doing it that big. It was like 20, I want to say 24, 26 people. But that's where I got most of my experience in that aspect.
It feels like a private dinner experience could work in any market, but does it feel like, based on the commentary you had on the specific space where you were with your business, does it feel like the market you're in has enough clientele who would be interested in a private dinner experience?
Uh, Not really, honestly. This market is very difficult. Locals are not very interested on this kind of experiences, at least for the most part. Right now, I've been getting a lot of business through an Airbnb um owners that I met or that I kind of connected through my wife. And
Mm,
then anytime they have someone who's like visiting Troy and like staying in their Airbnb, sometimes they request they want a private chef. So they'll
mm.
contact me and that's how I get most of my bookings. Other than that, I have not been able to connect too much with like the local market. But no, that's a good question. It's
Yeah.
not the best market for it.
I was thinking another, not saying you'd want to do this, but like bachelorette parties would be, or bachelor parties even,
Hmm.
because sometimes they're in more remote places like upstate New York, or I just went to one in Maine that wasn't in Portland. I don't remember exactly where it was, but not a lot of nearby restaurants. So we had someone come and do hibachi. Like we totally would have loved having someone like you just come, because it's like you don't want to be cooking for 12 people like while you're also
Yeah.
trying to like enjoy a bachelorette. So I totally think it's such a valuable business. But I hear you. It's like I think as more people find out about it, hopefully, I know it's kind of new. Um,
Yeah.
Because now anytime someone's like, oh, I'm going up, this area of New York, oh, I know you should reach out to Riani if you want to like have a special dinner. Do you have a dream or something that's like the ideal goal? Or is it still, this is working great for now? I know you just had a son. I'm sure that was a dream in itself.
Hmm.
So yeah, do you have that, or are you kind of just content with where you are right now?
Like I said, after working, at this restaurant, kind of made me realize that maybe I don't want a restaurant. But like right now, I think I'm just in a space where I'm trying to redefine my relationship with that and want to figure out, okay, if I do want it, how do I want it to look like? Because
Mhm.
I don't want to live to work. I want to be able to make a living with it, but I don't want it to just be my living.
Mhm.
But no, at the moment, I don't necessarily have a specific dream of what I
Yeah.
want. I do want to, with my private dinner stuff, like I've been getting very into growing my own food, and I want that to be kind of incorporated into what I do. Like I want to grow everything that I'm cooking, and I want everything to be local and more sustainable than purchasing this from this big brand.
Yeah, it sounds like the where you creativity is important to you, and you reference that with, the second commercial kitchen you were at, felt a little you lost that a little bit. Maybe when you're working at a restaurant, perhaps you lose it a little. I don't know, but I can relate to that for sure. Like sometimes you feel like, I think people talk about that a lot with like corporate jobs is they feel
Hmm.
like they don't have any creativity. And so a lot of people find it outside work, which is great. But as someone, I'm not like artistic. It's been hard for me to find like what are my ways that I explore. I guess we can wrap up here, Yanni. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This has
All
been
right.
a really
Thank you for having
interesting,
me.
of course. Where can people find you?
Yeah, sure. My website is menubyMena.com and Instagram as well as menubyMena.
Great. Awesome. Well, thank you again. And congrats on your son and say hi
Thank you.
to Alexa for me.
I will.
All
All
right.
right.
I'll see ya.
Bye.